ahead and call the meeting to order and get started. First of all, Council, you've got your packets. Is there any adjustments to tonight's agenda as presented?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add a closed session on top of our additional to discuss a personnel matter. So it's 143-318.11A. I'm not sure. I'm looking at A6.
Any other requests on the agenda? Okay. Anything from staff?
We're good.
You good? All right. Council, if you're agreeable to the additional personnel matter under closed session, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay. We'll follow along our agenda. First item is council discussions. And I'll start with Mr. Now.
I don't have anything, Mr. Mayor, but thank you.
Mr. Jaroszynski.
Yeah, it's been an eventful July for myself. I attended a class in Western North Carolina, WNC University, Asheville, for working with advisory boards, and I found it really interesting, some of the different implementations of advisory boards with towns and how they assist with communication with the community and also draw in the community's opinions and directions in town development. So I would like to, at some point in the very near future, venture into implementing a few advisory boards here in the community. Some of them that kind of came out of that meeting that really piqued my interest were, it's been my understanding that many years since we've revisited our land use plan, potentially looking at a land use advisory board to get the community's thoughts and opinion and direction on future development and some of the things that have changed in our own rezoning that haven't completely aligned with our current land use plan, referencing like the 21 corridor and some current things happening over through the Murdoch Road corridor. Another advisory board that really found interesting, just drawing in participation and volunteers from the community, was a Parks and Rec and Athletics advisory board, is that engaged volunteers to assist with different events that Parks and Rec puts on without such a stress on the staff as they may be spread thin at times and may need help, and this is a place for them to kind of reach out and find that. And those were kind of the two primary, and something that I had brought up in the past is potential social district or a downtown districting of socialization advisory board to help implement and steer a social district in Troutman the way that we'd like to see it. I think that the community could definitely help implement that and also help run it so that we're not having to create a new department or a new set of employees to kind of have to cover those responsibilities of a social district. And I'd like to thank the town employees that helped with the cleanup after our storm that came through. I had a little bit of damage at my house. I saw a lot of downed trees around town. They were cleaned up fairly quickly. I noticed the Parks and Rec employees out the next day removing trees that were down around our playgrounds and in the different areas through parks and along Main Street. I believe our Austin's department was out helping remove trees at some point. Is that correct? Yeah. So, great job from the town, the employees, and kind of responding to the natural disaster that swept through town, what seemed pretty quickly and silently, but yet destructively. And just want to note, school's back in session. I think somebody else will speak more on that, so I'll leave that topic open.
Why you looking at you?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, excuse me, I do have a question I'd like to ask.
Mr. Jaruzelski, anything else?
Oh, no.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, thanks for coming back to me. I guess if I could ask maybe Justin or Austin, because I saw the text about the Duke Power trimming the the trees, and this was before the storm, and then just leaving them there. Could someone tell me how, A, how that happened, and B, who paid for the removal of them? Because if they trim them, shouldn't they take them down?
Yes, so as far as I know, we don't pay anything for that. Duke contracted out a company to do that. However, I don't know if they ran out of time or if they were just planning to come back the next morning. But they did leave those, in a blind spot. So we did have to have some staff come out from Public Works Department to make sure there were no accidents that occurred that evening. And I did reach out to Joe, yes, sir, and he said thank you for the feedback, and he apologized for the inconvenience, and said they would definitely take that into consideration moving forward.
Were there any residents that were affected in that way also, where they just left the stuff down?
If there were, I'm not aware of any. Nobody made me aware of any, but
Yes, I had an interaction with a gentleman on Facebook that lives in the downtown here, that they trimmed one of his trees and left everything in his front lawn for, I believe, up to 5 days. It was something that I had posted out on Troutman Locals about issuing work orders for tree limbs online to prevent any kind of future outages, and he had expressed some concern on there that they weren't doing their job, so.
Thank you. I like Justin's answer, but in the future, I mean, Duke Power is not giving us free electric. So us picking up limbs costs us. So
Right.
I think in the future, we should be billing Duke Power for whatever it costs us to pick up, or this resident also. I mean, if our Public Works are picking up their mess, then we should be sending Duke Power a bill.
I think what we need to do is to have that conversation with Joe and the team, and make sure that they're aware. These are third-party contractors, as I take it, that are doing this, to ensure that, that at least they're aware that the third-party contractors aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And see if Joe can, kind of rally the troops around making sure that that doesn't happen again. I don't perceive that they appreciate that either from their
Right.
perspective, but at least making sure that they're aware.
yes, sir, I'll definitely reach back out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hinkle?
I have nothing more other than just, kind of, along with Councilman Jaruzelski, thank Public Works and our rec department for doing a fine job cleaning up after recent sudden storm and all the other things they've done before and since then as well. Appreciate it, and kudos for the good work, and thank you very much.
Ms. Harris?
Just a couple of things. Thank you to all of the staff for all that you all do. We truly appreciate you all, especially now with things being different. And you all are doing an amazing job. So thank you so much for stepping in and filling in the roles that you may not normally fill into. And thank you, Justin, for all that you're doing and leading the teams. And we continue to pray for our town manager as he continues to heal. As Nick mentioned, kids are back in school, so we're glad to hear that. I think they're supposed to have a pet rally tonight in the park, right? They still have it? They canceled it again? Okay. So that may not even happen now, because this is the second time it's been canceled. But anyway, that was one of the things I was going to mention. And I just wanted to piggyback on what Nick was talking about, the citizen engagement advisory boards and things like that. I would love to see some of those things come to fruition. I'd love to see some citizens more involved. And if they can't come to council meetings and can't do other things. Maybe they can volunteer out and help us to work with us more. Maybe we can get more citizens to work with us, and we won't receive so much flack. There are always going to be those who are going to say something. If it's air out there, they're going to say something. But we would love to have more engagement from our citizens as much as we can. So that is all that I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Option?
I will echo all the previous comments, and yeah, with it being back to school, yeah, I'd just like to wish the parents, students, and the teachers, all of them, the best of luck going forward here in the next school year. That's all I have.
Thank you. So, again, as has already been said, appreciate the cleanup, but we're probably gonna have a few more opportunities for cleanup with these storms kind of rolling in here. A little bit unprecedented. I had a number of citizens mention that they thought we had a tornado. I don't know that that was ever verified, but again, appreciate the work that Austin, you and your team did, and Emily and her team as well. Hopefully everybody continues to remain safe again throughout these storms. I appreciate the comments on the school system. As one of the citizens said to me, it has been quiet in terms of traffic. I guess their definition of quiet is relative, but again, we're back in school. And so I ask folks to remain safe out there, look out for our students and the buses. We are aware that people tend to overlook that big yellow bus sometimes and that red arm that sticks out. And so, again, hopefully we won't have any tragedies in our community as a result of anybody either not paying attention or just not looking for that red sign that may pop out. But again, keeping everyone safe. Look forward to a good school year, and hopefully all the kids will continue to do well this coming year. I'll save all other comments for items on our agenda. Thank you for that. Did mention, as Ms. Harris stated, appreciate all the staff who are stepping into kind of new roles or interim roles as our town manager is recovering. Again, I know it's can be a little challenging, and so again, appreciate what you all are doing. So thank you for that. With that, I'll turn it over to our interim manager, Mr. Moody.
Thank you for all the comments. The department heads are doing a great job making my job a lot easier, so I can't thank them enough for what they're doing. Does anybody have any comments before we get started on the agenda from staff? All right, if not, I believe our first one, introduction of Board of Adjustment applicant on Antonio Robinson. I don't believe he's in attendance. But he is applying for the inside alternate Board of Adjustment position, and staff does recommend approval. We were hoping he would be able to make it today. I don't know if something came up or not, but next item on the agenda is website discussion of town council bios on our website. And I think we spoke about that earlier this year, but staff just needs some guidance on how to move forward with that from council.
You're looking for council to provide a brief bio and a photo. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, and just some consistency as far as, we don't want some people to have, a large piece and then others not have anything. We just want some consistency among that.
So can I ask council if they're willing to put or provide a photo if they don't already have one? I know we've taken them in the past, and provide a brief summary of no more than 50, say, characters, for the buyout. Is that,
I agree with that.
that,
Characters.
yeah,
Now, phone numbers and emails, those are regarding town phone numbers and emails? The ones that we've already provided for the
Yeah.
website, just to be located under our bios?
right,
Okay.
That's on there now, if you want
Yeah.
a little description, like a bio description. Some, I think all three have it on there now.
Excuse me.
Some, one of them's pretty long,
we're gonna,
just to make it, like Justice said, consistent,
Yeah.
the same amount of length, that type of thing.
60 characters.
You wanna put a frame around it? What are you looking for?
Emily has picked up all of that work, so I would
Yep.
defer to her.
So we're going live with our new website on August 28th. It's pretty much complete with what we're ready to present as a finished product. The last things that we lack are just the finishing touches on the council portion, and that's getting the consistency with your bios. And as they said, some have more than others. Mayor, we don't have a phone number for you listed. Didn't know if you wanted your personal cell phone or if you wanted town hall number there. Everybody else had a phone number and an email listed. But we just, maybe just, if you wanna put some people have things about their family on there. Some people have what their involvement with government has been. Some people, how long they've served. Just whatever you find to be relevant, and you put the 60-character limit on there, that's fine. But just whatever you want it to be, we'll do whatever. If you want to leave it the way it is, that's fine too. So, but if we could have it by maybe a week before we go live, so maybe like the 21st, that would give us time to get it updated and polished, and we can go from there.
Emily, are we using, I'm sorry, Mason, the pictures that she took the last time, are you using
So
those?
we have, except for Eddie and Jerry, we have those new ones of the rest of you. But I can use whichever photo you want.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, you have?
No.
Okay, we'll send those.
I've seen it, you look good.
I know, I just wanna make sure it's my good side.
Yeah, we can send those out, and you can choose, we can send all the photos we have of each of you, and you can choose which picture you want. Does that work?
Are we
Okay.
good?
And then if you want an updated one, we can schedule that between now and then.
All right,
And the
I'll-
pictures don't necessarily need to be the same backdrop. We'll just make sure we get them sized so that they're the same size on the site. But I think the bios need to be consistent so that it's not, when somebody pulls it up on their, phone, at least reads consistently along the screens.
I kind of pulled the 60 out of the hat, but that seems like it, if you can't say it in 60 characters, yeah, ask somebody to call you.
Please call for further information.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Just don't do a picture of the house like Statesville did a number of years ago.
Oh, wow.
They actually put some houses up there.
Yeah, we won't do that. We
Yeah.
won't.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
That's something that did happen to my disbelief.
Wow, yeah.
Okay. Next item?
All right, moving on, 4E, discuss ball field lighting financing options. So I'll turn it over to Emily.
Yep, so, before Manager Wyatt, a few months ago, he and I started the discussion of, looking at some financing options of our, ball field lighting. We looked at some options of, some financing options. We looked at some options of lighting just the softball fields, lighting the softball fields, the basketball courts, pickleball courts, and the parking lot. We looked at, we looked at Musco Lighting helping us with the ball field lighting, and Duke helping us with the parking lot lighting. But anyway, so Dina is here, and she is with Musco Lighting, and she is here to present some options, both kind of an a la carte system of whether we want all of our ball fields, inclusive of pickleball courts and volleyball courts, or if we just want to start with the softball fields. And we've got some financing options as well. You should see some of that information in your packet. But she's also brought a folder with several pieces of information and maps. some FAQs in here, and we have a PowerPoint. So at this time, do you want her to talk into this? Yeah. Is that all? Let me get you the podium.
Oh, no, this is good because I walk around anyway. So I move. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff. First of all, I apologize. I've got a little bit of bronchitis, so just ignore that. Normally, it's not quite as low. But my name is Dina Neely. I'm with Musco Sports Lighting, AKA I'm also known as the Light Lady. So when you can't remember my name, if you remember Light Lady, you got me. So actually, I started several years ago taking a look at your park, and it's a fabulous park, and it's very exciting how it's becoming and just evolving. I get to spend most of my days with my flip-flops on in green grass, running all over ball fields. It's not a bad job, and that's what we do at Musco. We figure out from the initial planning process to what it's going to take, excuse me, to get the fields in from a cost perspective, from a design perspective. Musco is actually a licensed North Carolina general and electrical contractor, and so you can purchase your lighting turnkey. We will complete it for you turnkey, and that's what we do. We've spent over 5 decades being lighting nerds, and so if you look at my license plate out there, it says Light Lady. And so that's all we do all day long is we figure out how to light ball fields better in a way that gives better predictability of an end result when you flip on those lights. And so you can go to the next if you would. So this just goes through on the right-hand side of your folder. There's actually 2 ball fields, and those are your ball fields. So how we started out was we took a look at those ball fields and we said, what's the right amount of light? And what's the right light for the adjacent properties as well as the players and the spectators? And we're always balancing that design thought process through the lighting process. Then we go to, we'll show you the pole locations and kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And then we start to develop budgets. And so with the budgets, what we came up with was a turnkey number first and foremost for the 2 softball fields. And they make most sense because at some point, if you intend to continue to expand the park, we want to make sure that the infrastructure is there in terms of power along with Duke Energy to make sure that you're not having to go back and fix things that cost pennies on day 1, but dollars on day and year 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So with the initial proposal, we have and you can go to the next one if you would, a finance proposal. So financing with Musco Sports Lighting, it's through a third-party bank, but it's administered by us. And what it allows you to do, number one, it doesn't encumber future councils. It allows you to get lighting today, and it's a really good hedge against inflation because, quite frankly, who knows what's going to happen with power. I think it was Mr., is it Now? How do you pronounce your last name? Now. Said, power's not free. And power is not going down in any part of the country. It's only going up. So the more we can get you locked in now in terms of the electrical service entrance, the infrastructure, the better off you're going to be versus a year from now. This time of the year always gives me a little heebie-jeebies because it's the beginning of hurricane season. And what's the first thing that Duke Power tells me when it's hurricane season? They don't have any engineers to come out and look at my ball fields because they're out dealing with hurricanes. And so after 24 years of doing this, those types of things are going through my mind. But with the financing piece, what we did was there was a 5, a 7, and a 10-year proposal. And what that 5, 7, and 10 year allows you to do is to decide how much do you want to put down, how much do you want to pay per year. At the end of the lease, they're your lights. All we're doing is, again, helping you to get lights now at today's prices versus putting off that decision. Oftentimes people will say, hey, I'd like to have that proposal that you gave me 5 years ago. Can I get today's price at 5 years ago price? And it's like, yeah, no, not so much, unfortunately. So on the next slide, you'll see that this is what you've got in your page. This is a simplified portion of just the softball. So this will include softball 1 and 2. This is going to include a turnkey solution. So at this point, the only thing it doesn't include, number one, since we haven't done soil testing at each pole location, I assume that the soil down there is good. When I'm in the mountains, I don't assume much because I know that I'm going to hit granite and rock. So I assume standard soils. The other thing I assume here is we did have copper. The price of copper has been very unpredictable here this last couple of years. The reason that's important is that copper not only is a key component in the underground wire, but copper also starts to contribute to costs of the enclosures, those electrical panels where you're flipping breakers at your house. Copper has influence over conduit prices. And so again, that's the only thing that I don't know for sure. If you were to say, go on day 10, we're going to check the price of copper on day 10 and make sure that we've got it locked in at the lowest price. So again, here, we've got the 5, 7, and 10 year. At the right-hand side, it'll tell you how much is due at closing, and then that's that same payment that's going to be due every year. Questions on that? Let me stop there.
Well, just for clarification, if anybody else is trying to follow on the paper, they do not line up the same way on our paper. 1, 2, and 9 are the 3 on the screen right now.
Correct. Thank you. And that's because we came back and we had additional questions, but we can clean it up to this area. Anything else?
What would this include?
Okay, so on your next slide, if you would. So this is everything. So this is materials and labor, the installation. This includes applicable use tax. I will need to get signed and sealed electrical drawings. And so again, the only 2 things it doesn't include down here, I just said it assumes standard soils. And then really it's the copper piece that the scope and timing on the fluctuating market conditions. That's really the price of copper. This price includes for 25 years all materials and labor to take care of all your maintenance. So on your maintenance line, if you needed to, at other parks when they have old HID, a lamp goes out. If they don't have a warranty, they have to call a contractor. He comes out. The minute he turns on that truck, it's a $500 to $800 service call. And so that's only just for 1 lamp. It might be the same number for 10 lamps, but you don't want to wait until 10 lamps are extinguished because now you're materially impacting the safety of the play of those ball fields. And so what Musco has always led the marketplace in is making sure that you build it right, and then you don't have to worry about the lights for a substantial period of time. So consider with HID, some of the ball fields in and around here, HID, it's got a 3,000-hour lamp life. So with ball fields on for example, an average Parks and Rec, those softball fields, hours of use, typically here in this area are 350 to 400 hours of use per year. That means that 3,000-hour lamp needs to get changed out probably every 6 years or so. And what we found after 50 years in the sports lighting business is that folks have money to put the lights in, but when it comes to maintenance, maintenance starts to really become hampered with dollars. So again, setting it up for success on day one is very important. So again, all materials and labor included for 25 years. The only thing it doesn't include, now that we're going to an LED, this is an LED light source, is acts of God. So you were talking about storms coming through. Lightning is a big issue. And so Musco Lighting, we're a worldwide company. We're based out of Iowa. I live over in Kannapolis. I work in the North Carolina area, but we do projects anywhere from Florida, which has the highest occurrence of lightning in the United States, down to those crazy sheiks down in Doha and Bahrain, which have the worst possible combinations of heat, wind, sand, humidity. And so we're always testing our products because we're setting it up for success for at least 25 years. So that 3,000 hour HID lamp type of previous now is getting changed out with a light source of 120,000 hours. So if you do the quick math, 120,000 hours, 400 hours of use per year, you're covered well in advance of your 30 years. Somewhere there's a little 1-year-old running around that has an idea in their mind about something beyond LED, but at this point, nothing beyond LED is on the horizon. So again, you're set up for success for a very long time. Go ahead.
These options only include the ball fields, is that correct?
So what we did.
The ones you just discussed.
The ones we just discussed are the 2 ball fields, and it's also setting up that service for the electrical portion of the service itself for the concession stand, the basketball, pickleball, volleyball, and soccer. So we'll have the engine, if you will, for the lights. It just doesn't include running power and the lights down to those other areas.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I worked for Mecklenburg County for 23 years, so
There you go.
Mecklenburg is a big Musco user. I was the assistant admin, and so you know where I'm going with this. So does this include the training for the admin?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
They work with us. Y'all were amazing.
Thank
Y'all
you.
did an excellent job working with us, and if I had any questions, you all, the training was great, and I didn't have many questions, but when I did, you all were very good with getting back to us and making sure we understood what needed. I was just making sure that it was available for in this proposal year. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Ms. Harris. And to that extent, you were running it through what, RecTrack or
We had ActiveNet.
ActiveNet?
Mhm.
So it's an online where when someone calls in to schedule the fields, Musco works with this third party. So all they had to do was schedule it with ActiveNet, and it would automatically push up to us, and we would work seamlessly behind the scenes.
Now they have Civic Rec here. You work with Civic
Same
Rec
thing.
as well?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Mr.
And-
Knapp?
Yeah, I'm not on the Musco payroll, but I work within the NASCAR.
Me either, I just had to say it.
Well, I was.
For the other councilman, Musco is the Cadillac to me,
Yes.
especially at the racetrack with Musco Lighting, is the Cadillac of lights. And I can tell you firsthand, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want to go economy-wise, you're going to get what you pay for. You're buying the best of the best with lights.
Well, who's the Tesla of lights?
Are you and Ms. Harris working together on this?
No, sir.
We gotta slip out so she give us a check.
At the racetracks that I work at, I mean, Musco is,
Did we get
it's
that?
great, and it's reliable.
I had to look at the camera and said, I'm kidding.
These other options here, what includes lights at pickleball, basketball, and soccer fields?
I think that's what you're asking right there.
So Options 5, 6, and 7.
Oh, that's pretty.
All right, so the 1 point,
Okay, 5, 6, and 7.
yeah, 5, 6, and 7 would have been the softball, soccer, basketball, pickleball, and volleyball.
So everything but the parking lot and the drive-in.
And option 8,
And the playground.
right,
But we have the, like the safety lighting over there now.
yeah.
Does that pretty well cover it?
Yeah.
Would any of the soccer field lights bleed into the playground? Okay.
And on the back side, so they could design, on those poles that were between them, they could put some lights on the back to bleed over to the
Okay.
playground.
Correct.
And that, then the last option here, the most expensive one, what, is that the drive-in and parking lot as well?
That's option 8?
Option 8,
Yes.
yeah.
That's all of it.
Yeah, that's where we did the drive-in and parking lot. And in that one, we only did, I think it's a 10-year, let's see that option.
Yeah, only a 10-year. Does any of that include, if you, because I guess you were referring to deadheads, if we, in the first 3 options, deadheads at like the pickleball and stuff, do they include a potential amphitheater?
That was not quoted. But it could easily be added in.
Oh, yeah. Where's the amphitheater?
When you first pull into the park on the left-hand side.
Yep.
And it could be mounted on the back of some of the parking lot lights. So we could dual purpose some of those parking lot lights.
Because those would, yeah, they wouldn't be constant usage, it would just be post-event. Okay.
And, speak to the software that doesn't require,
So,
personnel.
so I appreciate all the comments about Musco. And if I don't work on commission and I'd still buy it.
They do.
Yeah, they do. What's interesting about it is that you know how proud you guys are to be on the council here and to be part of this. I feel the same way about Musco, because Musco always does the right thing, even when it's not Musco's responsibility to fix something, they do that. Part of that is the ability to proactively monitor your system. So once this system goes in, Emily's busy. She doesn't want to deal with lighting anymore. She just wants she wants a one and done. So what ControlLink does, and what Ms. Harris was alluding to, is it's a 24/7 automatic ability to make sure lights are only on when they should be and they're off when they should be. And why is that important? From a security perspective, you want to decide, does light either attract ne'er-with-wells, or does it make them avoid the area? ControlLink, Mr. Watson, would have the ability as an user to, if somebody said, holy mackerel, somebody's out on the softball fields doing donuts right now in the dark, he would have a username and password ability, or to make a phone call to, at a moment's notice, hey, turn fields 1 and 2 lights on. Boom, you got your boys. Maybe girls, but usually boys. Yes, sir.
Just a question with that. I'm assuming they're connected to some type of network?
Our network.
Okay, so it'd be your own infrastructure that would be included in the
Yep.
cost?
All of that's included for 25 years. It's all done through CDMA technology.
Perfect. That's what was my next question.
So is that something they have to call in for, or is that a usage on a phone that,
All the above.
okay, how many user access licenses are there?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. All right.
And then also within that is being able to slice and dice. So maybe you don't want the police department to have access to turn lights off. So on a Friday night, you don't want them going, hey, look what I can do over here. He only has access of turning them on, and maybe it's only by phone. Whereas Emily would be able to schedule it on her phone, on a laptop, on a computer. Mr. Young calls in and says, turn those lights on, but we haven't added him as a user, approved user, we would say, Mr. Young, can you hang on just a moment? We're going to go call Emily and make sure that Emily says, yes, that's okay. So you can't bully your way into getting the lights turned on without the proper access,
Which I would never do.
which you never do. Never happens.
Is there a benefit to using your financing versus seeking your own financing?
No.
Okay.
And
It doesn't change any of
doesn't
the
change
point
anything.
here, the
No.
users, nothing?
this is just an opportunity, and if you take that to a local bank and say, hey, beat this, you've got the terms. It's one of the tools that we have to help make the project come alive.
Ms. Neely, we talked about light pollution a little bit.
Yes, it's my favorite. So if you could go to the next one. A little hard to see, but let me describe what you're seeing. So Musco through the years, and I took out the slide and I should have left it in, but back in the 70s, we still have two owners, an engineer and an attorney, and they decided they wanted to build something. And so there was a little building called Muscatine Lighting Company, and back then it was a spun aluminum reflector, and as much light was going up in the sky as was going down on the ground. How do we used to find the football games on a Friday night and still do some? You look for the lights in the sky, right? Not a good use of power, not neighbor friendly, not dark skies friendly. And so Musco has always led the charge on spill and glare. Mecklenburg County has a lighting ordinance that says I can only put 0.00 foot candles of light. So nothing, I can put no light whatsoever on the property line. Now, as a lighting nerd, I will tell you that a full moon lit night on my light meter reads 0.25 to 0.3. And so I have to put less than a full moonlit night worth of light on that property line. And only Musco can do that. And again, we do that through a lot of different things. But when you're looking here, this is Ocean Isle down down on the coast here in North Carolina. So imagine I'm over in the outfield looking straight out with LED. LED is such an intense light source that we have to do a really good job of bringing that visor down so that the players can play safe, the spectators can actually see the game, and that the neighbors don't start calling you on your phone on Saturday mornings. I want you to take a look. See this fixture right here? This is the same fixture that's about 15 feet up those poles. You could see just a little bit of light up there. What we figured out how to do with LED is as we brought that visor down, we also put what we call a ball tracker light up underneath. And so for the first time ever, when you're playing softball or baseball, any of the aerial sports, when that ball goes up, the ball is actually lit from the bottom side for the first time instead of only from the top. And again, what that allows us to do is to pull your cap down lower so you don't see the light source. You know that there's a light up there. I took that picture. You know that there's a light up there. You just don't see that orb of light. And that's what that ball tracker affords us to do, especially with the aerial sports. And then we work into a combination of the proper mounting heights, the proper photometrics, which are all the things that we do inside the fixture to bend that light and just put it where we want. But again, these fixtures are not just pull off the shelf. We take each field, each location. You've got those homes on the east side? Southeast side. So in our lighting designs, we actually ran our scans all the way out there, and we're at 0 about 20 feet past the parking lot. So we take all those things into consideration because that's really important.
Stanley, once, say we agree to do this,
Mhm.
what's time frame wise from day one to finish? How long approximately?
Great question. So typically, it's a 12, of a project this size with like the 2 softball, it's about a 12 to 14-week process. So manufacturing, we don't do anything until you say go in terms of building fixtures. Manufacturing's about 8 to 9 weeks. In the meantime, we're getting signed into electrical designs together, permitting together, and then installation is about 3 weeks. So on average, I'd allow that 12 to 14 weeks, worst case, weather permitting.
Ms. Neely, one other question. If there is a weather event hit one of the poles, again, talk about kind of the turnaround of getting that repaired.
Yep. So I just redid all of Lincoln County schools, all of their athletic facilities. And one of these storms we've had in this last month took out one of the poles on the football field. And so turnaround, that would have been an insurance event. But we were able to turn fixtures around. They're getting them installed actually tomorrow. And so not only we've got a Musco field tech, a project manager, we also work with multiple contractors in the area that in a moment we can overnight items to them, get them taken care of. So with the controlling, it's very proactive. So we're going to tell you 99% of the time before you know it that a fixture is out, because we're monitoring the contactor cabinet, the electrical enclosures, the key switches. We know more about that system than you'll know. We know down to the hour how many hours you've used it. Again, we have so much research going on, and so we can tell if a lamp or if a fixture goes out, because it's really not a lamp anymore, it's a light source, whether it's probably either a fuse. That's the only thing that we'll ask you to do, is to check a fuse, because we want that fuse to fail first. That's your first line of defense. On the systems, we were talking about lighting. Also included is the surge protection. So Musco puts 5 times the amount of surge protection as our closest competitor. And we do that because lightning is an act of God. And every single warranty for every single sports lighting company says does not include acts of God. And so Musco goes ahead and does a little bit beefier SPD surge protection device that is able to redirect 95% plus of the electrical events, so that you're not really dealing with the nuisance of lightning. Now, if lightning strikes the pole, lightning's going to go where it wants to go. Can't say that won't happen, but it happens a lot less.
This may be a question for you or for Emily. Does any of the current infrastructure being placed covered in this financing proposal? The work going on right now, is that lighting infrastructure?
You're talking about the sewer lines we're putting in for the
Oh, sewer
concession
lines?
stand?
Okay, all right. No,
We
that
wouldn't-
answers the
No, no.
question.
Any other questions for Ms. Neely?
So you provide support for 25 years?
25 years.
What happens after 25 years?
So after 25 years, well, let me speak to what's happened in the last 25 years. So with HID, when a warranty ran out, you were always given the option to redo another time of warranty. We'd relamp, go from there. With LED, now you've got a light source that's gonna go 50, 75 years based on average usage. And so what I anticipate, technology will continue to evolve, and who knows what will come after LED, but at this point, it's my sense that we'll just do another 10-year warranty just to continue it along. There's, at that point, once we get poles installed, so a LED chip is about the size of a match head, a little bit bigger than that. The chip doesn't go bad. It's maybe a wire component. Most likely it's the driver. We bring the driver down to the bottom of the pole because we know that's the one component that's probably going to need the most work on it. And Emily doesn't want us getting back on her fields or around her fields or on the backside of like pickleball and basketball. It's pretty tight back there. So once everything is in place, we know that we're not going to have to go back to the top of that pole for a very, very long time. And if we do, lamp, lift, labor, materials is on us for that 25 years. But I wish I could answer your question better, because I'd be rich in 25 years if I knew what was going to happen in
Do
20.
you have any current customers that have gone past the initial 25-year
Not with LED yet.
support?
So our first LED project was the White House. No pressure. The Secret Service, the guys that worked on it were like, there's Secret Service everywhere. My first LED project was in 2010, over at Trump National, the tennis courts right over here. They wanted us to retrofit their existing poles, and so we're 15 years in, and the warranty, when we first started with the LED, just like with the HID, the first initial warranty was a 2-year, then it went to 5, 10. The more work you put on the front side and the assurances, and we don't necessarily want to be in the warranty business. We want to make sure it goes out right in the first place, because the costs are on us if it's not. But we do have, across the country, across the world, there's facilities that are using these. For example, in Florida, I said that here, average use is maybe around that 400 hours of use per year. In Florida, we have facilities, they're running 4 times that per year, just because it's just acre after acre after acre of sports field accommodation from those larger counties.
Right, so, with options, the first set you started with options 1, 2, and 9, those are all just the same plan, right? Just different finance options?
Mm-hmm. Different year.
So do those potentially correlate to one of these printouts of the maps?
Yeah, those two are those 2 fields. So you'll see on the right-hand side, about mid-page, it'll say Field 1, Field 2. Yeah, so those are actually your 2 fields.
Right, so options 1, 2, and 9
1, 2, and 9.
include both of these fields.
Correct.
And so for field 1, 1, 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
dedicated poles
Well, it's
for
actually,
this one.
there's 10 poles total. So these 2 are common poles.
Right.
All right, so
That's these 2
2,
here.
4, 6, 8, 10. And then these common poles are back to back, meaning we can control field 1 by itself or field 2 by itself or both fields.
Basically, the poles in the middle of the 2 fields are going to be used, both sides.
Right, so then that leaves, I know we touched on some of these, but that leaves 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yep. And 8 included everything, these 2 fields, and we didn't include the layouts, but it's basketball, pickleball, soccer,
What
and
poles
volleyball.
are these proposals for? I saw 4 different types of poles discussed here in this pamphlet.
Mhm.
And what is the warranty on the poles?
It's the same. So
25
our
year
warranty includes
warranty.
everything from the foundation to the pole top, including our contact, anything Musco provided, Musco materials. So these are slip fit. So you've got a precast concrete base, a slip fit pole, galvanized steel pole in a gray, a weathered gray color.
And that's all the way down to the base of the foundation. Whatever it is you install is covered
Mhm.
under the 25-year warranty.
Mhm. And underground is done by, we use, like, my sub on this project is Nuco Electric. Nuco Electric has been doing sports lighting with Musco since 1992. He warranties his work for 2 years. Again, they've done everything from the Speedway, North Wilkesboro. They do all of Mecklenburg County Parks and Rec installations. I work with them a lot in this area.
So your application style is this base plate galvanized steel?
No. So you've got, that's wood, that's base plate. We're doing this look. So it's not base plate, it's with a precast concrete base. This is talking about what the differences between, there's some folks that still want to do a wood pole.
Okay.
And we just know that wood poles are not.
And are all
No
these
way to go.
poles 70 foot, 40 foot? What's the height of these poles?
On your lighting design, these are 70s, and you'll see that the 60s and 70s
Okay.
right through here.
Would that be consistent with the, because we don't see anything here for soccer fields or pickleball, would that be consistent pole height throughout, or are those shorter poles?
It's all it changes based on the sport of play.
Okay.
I wonder if, can I send him the big?
Can he pull it up?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Can she send you something, you pull it up?
Yeah, one second.
Or you can,
Or do you have that in your email?
which one was it?
That one today?
Send it to me.
That's the PowerPoint. But it's this one. No.
I apologize. I wasn't sure if we were going to look at the whole plan or not. But these are great questions. But yes, to your point, depending on the sport, the application, the proximity of neighbors, the lighting ordinance in place, field-to-field playability, terrain, all those things go into that lighting design, and my engineers can tell me based on everything I tell them about the site, everything that they can pull in for the site, exactly where those poles go, what that pole sees, and give that predictability, that warranty, that guarantee of light levels on the field for 25 years. Yes, sir.
Just got another question while we're on, and thank you. This is, when you install product, okay? It's Musco coming in, right?
Mhm.
It's not contracted out to.
No. Well, and we use a sub, but you come to me for any question. I'm your one point of everything. So accountability, meaning we're,
So the people that would be installing aren't technically Musco employees?
they're not technically Musco employees. However, for example, Nuco, they do everything that I've lighted in this area since 1992. And you don't have to worry about going to them with an issue. You come to Musco, Musco takes care of it because it's Musco's name on it. And that's why I don't have 100 different contractors across the state that install this, because they represent me as much as anything in Musco.
While we're waiting, I have another question really quick.
Mm-hmm.
While they're getting that up. I was sitting here looking online for different grants and things, and then I just happened to open the book. And you all talked about the different funding options available. Can you talk a little bit about
Yes,
that?
absolutely. So Musco, different types of grants they'll partner with. So for example, U.S. Soccer, when they have fields that U.S. Soccer really wants to move forward, they have a goal of having a lot of mini pitches in place in the next couple of years, thousands of them. And so for facilities, when you have a lot of soccer fields, they're more than 50% of the project, U.S. Soccer is a potential grant opportunity. Sometimes with baseball tomorrow, we're always looking for those as well. So before we wrap up anything, I'll also look through and say, based on what we know, and what's a good use of your time to apply for, we would apply for it.
Okay.
And then I call my people up in Iowa and say, hey, these are my people out here. Take care of them, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Do you do that both depending on if we go with our own financing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
one of the PDFs did you want me to open? There is.
It's the NC_B, maybe?
There's a Troutman, North Carolina installations, funding resources, and then there's the, T19407B NC.
Yep, that's it.
Ms. Neely, while we're waiting on that, question is, I guess this proposal was sent on the financing agreeable by August 1st. Would this still apply?
Yes.
Okay.
Short of just something none of us see
How long is it
coming
good
tomorrow. Most likely for the next 90 days.
Okay.
Copper's the thing that just makes me
Well, we're gonna
a little
potentially need
nervous.
a rework anyway, right, for the entrance amphitheater?
Well,
To include that in the quote?
I think that's what Emily had mentioned, that it's potentially no new poles, just added lights, so minor rework.
She might could dual purpose some of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
poles that are along the sidewalk
Go to that last
Oh, there we go.
page.
for the,
And then maybe, can you,
Yeah, I'll zoom in. Is this the one you want?
perfect.
Enhance, enhance, enhance.
All right. So go out just one click or two.
Up, down.
Come down. Up, I mean. All right, so here's your two ball fields. So, there you go. So you'll see we've got the 10 poles there. If we were to light the parking lots, we would utilize some fixtures off of B3 and A3 here. Volleyball is this 2-pole design. We know that concession is going up here, so this is where the service is gonna get located. This is why we're gonna build this to accommodate this on day one. It's a lot less expensive to do it that way. So you've got volleyball, you've got pickleball, basketball. This is a 4-pole. We combined poles here, but again, they'll be separate zones, so you'll turn this on separate from the volleyball. Then you've got soccer. These are dual purpose, these S3 and S4. And then when we started talking about lighting the remainder of it, this is where we were as far as, do we make this a decorative light? Something similar to what Duke provides, like a 20-foot decorator, black, actually any color that you want.
Like what we have along the Greenway.
Yeah.
We talked about
Mm-hmm.
making nice down into the park to.
Shorter.
Yep.
They're not 60 or 70 foot poles.
Right.
So starting here, starting with P6 to here, this is more decorative look.
So P7 and 8 were decorative, would you be able to dual purpose them for amphitheater lighting?
So this is amphitheater?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of down, take P9 and go back toward the wood line. Across the street and then toward
Yeah,
where the
and the other
crystal
way.
is.
Straight
Right
up.
in there.
Be different.
Then you get into, the answer is yes, potentially. And then I'm gonna make you think about, what do you want it to look like? Like, describe it. If I'm walking up at night, this would be on its own zone, potentially. You could turn these off and on. You wanna be able to turn these off when something's going on the stage with the amphitheater.
Once we figure out what our amphitheater, what we want it to look like, then we can decide if the lights could be. Because we don't really have a full design on that yet.
Right.
Yeah, so once we know, then we could come back.
But what we could do, what would make sense is if we're running the conduit down here anyway, we'll make sure that we bring a couple of empty conduits here
So,
instead of that for future. That's one of those pennies now versus dollars later.
mm-hmm.
You almost want to think about 7, 8, and 9. Just trying to think
So-
about what the what you would want to light once everything is over.
The dog park probably needs a pole over there too, just in case somebody were on that sidewalk. Just a thought.
I have
all
a
the
very
Ps-
spec, oh, go ahead then.
All the Ps are decorative lighting, projected decorative lighting.
Correct.
That kind of feeds into my question. Could you maybe just show us this, the space above the volleyball and basketball courts? So we can see that a little bit better. Then maybe just take it there, the other way. Yeah, so if by some miracle, right, somewhere in the future, we were able to, again, it would take a miracle, so stay off my back, council. Right? But if we were to potentially maybe do a third field and like close this, how would that potentially mess up the, because I see the system you've got, you know, going from field to field. I don't know, I don't see how that, the third field, basically my question is how would that affect P1, P2, and that line? Did I muddle my own question?
Now,
I think the question is what kind of poles are P1 and P2, and what is the ability to change them out for poles similar to A1, B1 that are ball field lights, right? Those are probably different heights.
these are 40s, these are
Mhm.
shorter. What I'm sitting here thinking is, are you gonna
see the
And
area there, right?
So then you guys are gonna be all lighting nerds when we get done.
Uh-huh.
So, if you look between A1 and A2, if you drew a line between these two first poles, you always want that line to be at or slightly behind home plate. And the reason being is that you need that good modeling of light all the way around. The pitcher has to be able to see it if it's coming back at him fast, the batter's gotta see it coming in fast. And so, couple of things. We could go ahead and set these two poles up for back-to-back with the assumption that you're going to build this field consistently right there as well. I wouldn't worry about these two because it wouldn't make sense to make these 70s if they're 40s now.
Okay.
And if you did that, then you'd have to shift this whole field down because of this issue. Your B poles, this guy is down about 170 feet, so these poles wouldn't fall most likely in the right spot anyway.
Well, just based on how it's laid out, now that I look at it, it wouldn't work anyway, because that basically put a pole right in the, almost in the middle of the basketball court.
Now, I mean,
The B2 equivalent,
Mm-hmm.
you know, going and,
If
moving
home
along.
plate were here, this would be an A pole and.
Well, no, so you're on the baseline of the field, you would have to be 10 yards down,
True,
right? So that's what, oh,
yeah.
I look where that crosshairs is for A2, and I'm like, oh, if I go straight left to that, I'm hitting pickleball, basketball,
Mhm.
uh-oh, yeah.
But how much land do you need?
We don't, that's what I'm saying, we can stop talking about
We
this
don't.
right now. You just answered my question.
That's
Here,
true,
what
but,
we gonna
but
let
you.
it in on me?
I got my answer.
Potentially,
I got my answer, it ain't happening.
you size these for future fixtures, and this,
We could
this
only
other
do,
A pole could end up being about right here, and home plate would end up being about right here. There's ways, trust me. I see all different things.
Good thought, we might just be a little too far in the future with that.
But I think it's a really good thought because, again, all these, I'm a visual person, so I have to see it and be able to think about it. But yeah, you could just offset it. And I'd involve these two poles and beef them up structurally and take an extra conduit to each one of those two.
Well, if we could go back over by the dog park, I think Emily brought up a very valid question, that what I'm asking for amphitheater lighting would just be like end of event session lighting, right, cleanup and safety. So that would kind of coincide with a pole being right over by the dog parks for any kind of dusk to close, dog park usage. And I think that would satisfy my question, if there were a pole over there, in the top left corner where you can kind of see the sidewalk goes to. Not quite that far, maybe back by the sidewalk. A little further right, Travis. About right in that area. And I think that would satisfy my question for lighting, to kind of project back towards the parking lot, right, for cleanup or safety concern.
Yeah. And for ADA, for people to be able to get to the restroom
Yep.
if they were at the end of the event. We've also had a parking lot addition since this map,
Yeah.
down here across from S3 and S4, so we would need to revisit to add some additional poles on that side or figure out how to make that work.
Emily, I got a quick question, not with lighting. The soccer fields, we run our own soccer program?
Adult, and then we've got the youth.
No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't Iredell, Statesville, or anything like that. Thank you.
TYA.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Neely?
In-house.
that?
Red, green, blue.
Okay.
And so they dance, they play music. So I was over at the Marshall Tucker Band concert in Kannapolis at their amphitheater, and, you know, the place was just rocking.
You're talking about like the North Wilkesboro, where that changes the colors of the lights?
Yeah.
And we could just have that by the amphitheater.
Mhm.
So maybe functional lighting plus, maybe we can look at some,
A little entertainment.
yeah. Maybe you could send some of that, send me some of that information.
I would like to review that, some of that functional lighting you were just speaking of, and a pole over there by the dog park. Whatever you, height and safety wise, that you think would be best.
And that'd be nice for cleanup.
Because from that position, a light facing back towards the bathrooms, like you'd said, for ADA accessibility and bathroom safety would be ideal.
So Emily, what's your timeframe? What's our next steps?
Just direction from you all on if you want to go with the base of just the softball fields, or if you want to break it out, or just whatever direction you want to give, and then we can go from there.
Last year, how much usage was the softball fields for lighting versus the soccer fields for lighting?
So our highest need right now is certainly softball fields. I can't give you pickleball and basketball numbers just because that's so new. Our volleyball league runs on Sundays, and I can give you the exact numbers of hours. I've presented those at Plan and Retreat, but I can't remember them off the top of my
Right.
head. But I can
And those
send
were
those
the-
back out.
Those were the temporary lights, right? The ones that we had on the carts?
We do use those, yep.
Okay.
Soccer would certainly benefit because we run 3 teams at a time on
Mhm.
each field because we're so cramped for space. We do utilize school system fields because we don't have enough space here, but the largest issue is the softball fields. Soccer's certainly an issue too, so. Great problems to have, and lights would fix them, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I feel like our park has been established long enough with no lighting that we should venture into lighting the whole park, so that we're not revisiting, you know, mobilization fees and other stuff to come back here, that it's only gonna continue to increase. If we come back in 2 years, we're not gonna have the same price we're looking at today.
You want us to talk about it?
Yeah.
So I agree with Nick, and the reason why I was looking for funding is of course because it's a lot of money, but I think it's well worth it. But I would love to explore some grants or other things that we could get to assist, with that. But I agree, lighting the whole park.
I don't even see the point.
Doing parts
Doing
of it.
sections.
Right.
And that would just pay off alone.
Other thoughts?
Well, I think, you know, just kind of for transparency on this, we're talking about some kind of big numbers here, but we've been budgeting for at least the last 3 or 4 years for lighting in the park, right?
Yeah, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but yes.
Okay. So, I mean, that further decreases this initial cost. I know we're looking at big numbers here but this is just, I think, a typical application and finance presentation, not considering how much we've already reserved in budgeting, and potentially, I think we've reserved a substantial amount and have, I know I've personally and other council and Manager Wyatt have also approached our representatives at the state level for funding in the budget for this. So, you know, there's potential if we have all of this presented, we might be able to further that funding request from the state level for this specific item.
Justin, can you see how much was in that reserve for this?
I know we were doing 325. We've done that at least the last 2 years. Prior to that, I can't remember if it was 100 or
150, I think.
if we had to use some of it for part of,
Facility down.
yeah, part of the other portion, but I'll look and see and let y'all know what we have sitting in the park fund, cash-wise.
So is it the tenor of the council to do, at least to give direction to Emily and the staff to look at the full park, or to stay with the ball fields at this point?
I think the full park, including the accent lighting and also the pole over by the dog park.
Is that the scenario?
If everybody else is in agreement. I can't speak for everybody.
You said full park and what?
The full park, including the dancing lights, I'm gonna call them, and the light pole over by the dog park.
So the dog park light and then the additional light, so this number will change because we need to add
Yeah.
the.
Right, that's why I'm trying to
Yep.
get at the directionally, because the number will change.
Yep.
But they need to bring back what that number looks like.
Yep.
So bring that back for the whole park.
Yes.
Okay. And then you want information for the entertainment lighting
I would say include that.
plus functional lighting for the amphitheater.
Yeah.
Okay. Take Dina's.
One thing I was thinking, I'm sorry, Mr.
No,
Mayor.
and Justin, if you can maybe provide
Yes, sir.
what's in that account.
I sure will.
what's approved
And
there.
also, if in that time, we could explore our own funding options.
Financing.
Yes.
Okay.
Financing options, and see what that looks like, what we can obtain on our own.
Okay.
Ms. Harris?
This may be a whole separate conversation, but one thing I think we probably do have to think about is if we have lighting, y'all usually probably stop at a certain time. Does that mean more staffing?
So it
Gonna
does,
be-
it does change our staffing model, but, we close at dark now, but, certainly be worth it, because we've got a field and facility problem now, so.
Okay.
But we're also off-site now, so I do pay a staff member to go make sure that the leads that we're running off-site are in control over there, so it would just be here rather than off-site, so.
Okay.
It doesn't change it dramatically, but, right now I'm paying for someone to check facilities at school facilities, so. They would just be here rather than there.
A question back for Dina. With the monitoring and such, as you explained, it's kind of intensive. Does that also include weather monitoring? So if we have a week that it's raining and the fields aren't being used, the lights don't come on?
So what will happen in that, so you can actually go online and schedule the fields
Mhm.
for 10 years in advance. If you know that there's a rain occurrence or a rain delay, whoever the user is at the time can do a rain delay, call in. Controlling is a room just a little bigger than this room. Over 8 million schedules last year. Either from here or a phone call. They can call to delay it. She can go on her phone and go delete the schedule, shift the time. You have full functionality of what's happening with that. And one other question, would you like to see a longer lease if we end up going with everything? Do you want to see like a 15-year?
Yeah, I think that makes sense,
Or
yeah.
financing, I mean?
No.
Okay.
I think we at least want to see it, what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just for comparison's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what they'll,
Yeah.
So is
And
that
they-
yes?
see
Yes,
what.
okay.
And these rates that they put in here, these are, I assume they're fluctuating as well, or no?
I think probably that goes back to sort of somebody pointing something crazy
But
at us.
maybe check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at that. But I'd like to get the new design done with inputs, show you what that's gonna look like. Get it 10, 15, you may come back and say, let's 12. But there's no prepayment penalty.
That's important.
And you can always take the kitty if you wanna buy it down on the front side. They're very flexible, or you basically tell them, here's what I want to do.
Okay.
So you could pay it like a car loan, so you could pay extra to pay it off. Say we took a 15, okay, and if we paid it off in 12, okay.
Well, the only thing I see with that, and I understand that's important, is that as these years go up, the interest rate's going up. So the 10-year has a higher interest rate than the 5-year. So it's kind kind of reverse mathematics there.
And you got the panic factor in here. The most important, and what I want to see if this came to, is it gives you an idea, what do you need to account for every year?
Yeah.
So, and budget in versus that fluctuating staff.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all very much for your time today.
Thank you, Dina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, don't hesitate. Emily and I will get this rolling and get you that good information to see.
All
Thank
right,
you, Dina.
next item.
The next item on the list is discuss town safety measures. So the chief has done his research, and I'll turn it over to him for presenting.
So, Mr. Money gave me some concerns when we do some research. And there were several questions, and I'll hit them by the topic, current laws. North Carolina is the only state statute where there's a law on building that firearms are prohibited in by the state law government buildings. For North Carolina state government buildings and federal government buildings are prohibited by federal law. Municipalities, counties, they are left up, state law allows them to enact an ordinance prohibiting, the carrying of any firearms inside their buildings they own. There's a separate ordinance that takes away the ability to regulate and carrying. If you have a concealed carry permit, you cannot regulate those people carrying in parks, greenways, and exterior areas, parking lots outside. We can only pass an ordinance that controls inside town buildings. It can be any other building, Parks and Rec, planning, passport, here. At this time, we found that despite what apparently employees in the past were told, there is no ordinance currently in place prohibiting the carrying of firearms inside town trauma building, whether open carry or concealed. There are stickers on the door, but we cannot enforce those because there's not an ordinance. The next thing that was brought up was talking about metal detectors. In Iredell County, we don't have any municipalities utilizing metal detectors at their town halls or meetings. The only thing is the courthouse, and that's by order of the resident district court judge. They are used in city halls nearby. The closest would be Charlotte, Winston, and Concord. But in addition to metal detectors, they are costly. They run $2,000 to $5,000 a piece, and you have to employ somebody to man it. You can't be a police officer. The reason is public building, everybody has a right to be here. Unlike Panther Stadium, you have to buy a ticket to get in. So we're asking people, they're having to be searched to enter here. So if we're the ones doing it, they're having to give up their Fourth Amendment right. So you would have to have a private security person running it with the officer standing by. What I've looked at and talked with Mr. Money about, if it pleases the council, we would like to, I would draft an ordinance to present to you next month to create a prohibition of carrying firearms inside town hall. And so we can have that ordinance. Once that's passed, have improved signage displayed at all our government buildings. Continue the practice of town council meetings. If I'm not here, I do make sure that make sure there's an officer, here. And if there's any other meetings as requested by the mayor, board chairs, or staff that needs an officer present, we could have that happen. I know in the past there was a few Lynn had asked me to have an officer at due to some concerns. I understand political violence apparently is seeming to become an increasing thing in our nation. Luckily, you can never say never. So I think we have to kind of look at, we can't make this a fortress like if it was just the police department. Because people having to come in and, having free access to come here to attend meetings, but we also have, the aspect of security to provide security for meetings. So there's some things I can look at with me or officers doing during their time leading up to a meeting being, outside here, to watch. And if you have any questions or recommendations, we can look at those.
In the effect of an ordinance, and I would love to see that next month, I think that's a great idea. Is that something that could also be written that it is non-restrictive to council and or employees?
There could be written with that, I would want to talk to the attorney. I know, like some local governments, counties do allow that, like employee, staff member with a concealed carry permit can have it in these areas, but not other areas. So that's something we could have to work with, Mr. Ralston on that.
Okay.
Chief, what about Homeland Security 218, retired law enforcement?
So-
I know you're familiar with it.
Yeah, that would apply. Now, if it's, if you're carrying outside of, if you're still, if it says no concealed weapons allowed,
Does the 218 override it?
no, it does not, because they can prohibit it on property owned by private property and owned by local government. So, there could be a language in our ordinance that allows that.
Well, we as a council could override.
In the wording of the
Say it's
ordinance.
okay to have
Yes.
218.
Yes, in our ordinance, yes.
I'm interested to see that proposal.
Yes, I've already got some ordinances from some other municipalities that we could look at. And of course, if the threat environment or something were to change ever, we can review further procedures, things we could start doing. And as I said, last month, I believe, if you guys do see anything as a threat, let us know, even if it turns out, hey, it doesn't meet the statutory requirements, it still is nice for us to know what you guys are feeling and, protecting your family.
And I would ask folks if they feel in the moment to send a text to the chief in that moment to say, hey, this occurred, or let him address it, or the officer on duty address it in that moment.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Unfortunately, too, Mr. Mayor, the climate has, as the chief did state, is not getting any better. With the average-sized towns now, there was an incident in Virginia Beach, an incident in Charleston. I'm sure you're aware of the incident with the gasoline.
Which I
So-
think, based on the final report on that, was actually, it was a workplace dispute.
Right.
The councilman happened to just work there, it wasn't necessarily, I think it was related possibly to a female. Which, when it first came out, I saw that, and I was like, okay, that's a new development. So, while there is some things, I think, by and large, I do feel good. I mean, there's concerns for us, folks, our staff, I have records technician in the front window, he has billing staff here. Because of being the police department here, we do have sometimes crazy things come through the front door. We want to try to make it where we're safe here and our staff is safe, you all are safe, but the public's also not feeling that they're being impeded in coming before the council, but then you can do that in a lawful and respectful manner.
Agreed.
Josh, you just the metal detector at the front door again, where you don't violate the Fourth Amendment.
So, and if you notice, whenever you go, especially like at football games at South Ireland, they have a private company conducting the wanding. Because if we're standing there telling, as a police officer saying, hey, you have to empty your pockets and let us go through the metal detector, which is a type of search. We as the police are forcing you to give up your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure to enter a public facility, like for a public meeting. So that's why you very rarely see law enforcement officers doing it. There is some cases that have made it an exception at courthouses.
I was gonna ask you about that, because there have been some deputy sheriffs,
Yes.
even in Statesboro.
Yes, they do use.
Charlotte Mecklenburg.
Yeah, they have an there's been some rulings on them because it's through an order by a judge and a court that's kind of overrided that. But so when we become involved outside of that at a football game, we've had to have this discussion with public
And at the
schools.
door of a town hall.
At the door of a
so.
town hall, you're now taking away somebody's right. But if we put up signs and we see any indication that there's a weapon, it gives the officer your ability to say, hey, do you have a valid permit, as of right now. But we will definitely present an ordinance to y'all next month.
But you're gonna, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna ask you, you're gonna give us something to
Yeah.
look at next
Yeah.
month.
We can give you several options.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Chief.
Next item?
Moving on, so 4G is discussed Parkertown Elementary School. Benji is here and knows a little bit about it, and I'm not sure what all council has been privy to, but basically, they want water and sewer for their site. Obviously, they understand the sewer situation, but regarding water, well, a couple questions on the table. One, will that be, the town of Troutman, will that be annexed in? And if so, then obviously they want to be on Troutman water. The lines do not extend all the way to the school. There is a project that will get it close, and when will that be ready? It was complete.
So that's the, engineering for that, that's actually on the agenda for West Consultants to do the engineering, approve and start right away. The schools had asked me about that as well, and they're gonna need it early in 27. And I don't see any problem with that, so we would probably have it out, ready for construction early in 26.
Okay.
We give about a year to get construction.
Okay, so that would get it close within a half a mile to a mile.
So the project is already funded through, the appropriations money that the town received from the General Assembly. That will bring it down Highway 21 from Westmoreland Road to Parkertown Road. And then in that same project, it's the plan to continue on down if things can be worked out with Mooresville for future purchase of additional water. But just to get it to Parkertown Road, we already, like Doug and I and the school system, we talked about, we could go ahead and do that first. And so we meet their schedule for the elementary school.
What kind of mileage are we talking about to Parkertown?
To Parkertown, I should know, I did the estimates, I can't remember, a mile, 2 miles, somewhere in that
I mean, I'd asked, a long time ago, I'd asked, and former employee at the Public Works told me roughly 2 miles
Yeah.
connect up to Mooresville, total to Mooresville. That's the reason I was asking. So about halfway to Parkertown would connect us halfway to
Yeah, right.
connecting up with Mooresville.
But the first phase would actually be picked up from the town of Troutman water line on Westmoreland Road near Weathers Creek. That Westmoreland Village development, about the 12-inch water line, is across the creek already. And so this new project will pick it up from there, extend it out to Highway 21, and then south down Highway 21 to Parkertown Road, and stop. That'd be the first phase. So
And we already have the
the
funding.
request then would be to pick it up from there all the way to the elementary school, and that's probably another half mile to a mile.
Our
And
funding
how
would-
much, I'm sorry, Mayor. How much further to Mooresville system from that?
So that would be a future phase.
Yeah.
I don't know that off the top of my head. It's probably a mile or two.
So we've got funding right now to run it to Parkerstown Road, and ISS would pick it up to run to the school from there.
Correct.
But they,
Is ISS aware of that?
Yeah, I think Justin.
Yes.
Some
Yeah,
some conversations.
so they got an estimate for that, and it's going to be roughly $1 million or so dollars. And so they did request. Obviously, nobody would turn down money, but they did request that the town help contribute to that, because they believe it'll help us in the future. But according to Benji, that is, any future housing would be in Mooresville's jurisdiction.
Right, so as you consider this request, keep in mind that I think the annexation map is on the agenda this week as well, right? That boundary agreement with Mooresville. So among staff, including Doug and the town and Troutman staff, it's a back and forth, productive pass that Mooresville cede both sides of Parkertown Road, but their response was that they
again, that's Parkertown, Parkertown, but now heading north from Parkertown, that's going to be, if its boundary passes, that would be Troutman's
Trout
jurisdiction.
would be both sides of Highway 21.
Right.
Yeah, north of Parkertown. Yeah.
So Parkertown would be the boundary line.
In
Is
this
that my
area,
understanding?
It wiggles all over the place, but
Yeah, over to Rankin Hill.
The center of the road would be the boundary from 21 over to the interstate.
And is the school on the north or the south side of Parkertown?
North,
In this big open field I see here?
yes.
How far are we talking off of 21 to the proposed elementary school? Are we talking 3/4 of a mile, half mile,
Right.
3/4 or half?
Well, so Justin, they gave him that.
Yeah, they gave me an estimate of 4,400 feet,
There you go.
so 3/4 of a mile
About 3/4 of a mile, yeah.
Okay.
is what they said they would need.
You know, I'm still got a bad taste in my mouth over Shin's Farm. I mean, I'm not gonna hide that. You know, I still think we were told one thing and then the result was something else. Folks remember what I'm talking about.
So Weathers Creek?
Yeah, the Weathers Creek High School. Yeah, we were told we'd get that water and we're not gonna get, you know, that business. It's gonna go to Iredell Water.
How much does Iredell Water wanna charge them to run a line over there?
I do not know.
Okay.
But I've still got a bad taste. Bottom line, I've still got a bad taste over that. You know, tired of people telling us one thing and when the results come up, something else. But nonetheless, you know, we run the line down to Parkertown and they pay for it from Parkertown to school. That would be mine. Again, I'd be maybe a little bit more amenable to the other, but if we're not gonna get the water business from Weathers Creek, like we were told originally, then they can take care of themselves from the Highway 21 to the elementary school. That's my opinion.
And that would be consistent with what we've done in the past in
Right.
terms of other development hours.
And to clarify, they were not, you know, saying we should, or really pushing hard. They just, it's kind of a passing comment.
In case they're thinking of it.
If you
that's
want to
what I'm doing.
contribute.
Oh.
I try to be more direct than tell somebody one thing and then, you know, a year later tell them something else. That's
Yes, sir.
That's what it'd be a year from now, even though
Right.
it may not matter what I think a year from now, but nonetheless,
Is it abnormal to have a main run along the town boundary line? It seems incredibly inefficient.
That's right. Yeah, well, to your point, that's why, from Troutman's standpoint, it'd be preferable to have future annexation rights on both sides of the road, yeah. So potentially, Mooresville would end up putting a water line with the same road on the opposite side of the road.
Now we're way under a mile.
I'm sorry.
Now we're way under a mile in between the two.
Brad, we still got other negotiations going on. I'll leave that for another conversation. Other questions? So what do you need from us at this point, Justin?
Basically just confirmation that it will be Town of Troutman Water, and that the project will be done in time, you know, for them to be able to open the school in fall of 2027. And it sounds like from what Benji's saying, assuming we proceed with the items on the agenda today with West Consultants, that it will be no problem for it to be ready. So kind of just a shake of the head that, you know, it will be in the town of Troutman. And
With the
Oh.
annexation as part of that?
Oh,
Yes,
no,
sir.
a shake of the head certainly does not work, because that's what got us in the problem with what Paul was referencing. So this is gonna have to be written and signed and promised from the district if we're gonna go forward with this measure.
Gentlemen's agreements only mean something between gentlemen. And when one's not a gentleman anymore, then you're taking a risk. And
Yeah.
as Nick says, I agree. I want it black and white,
Okay.
signed by the proper official.
Not just some
Is that,
email from some stand-in assistant or
is that the
something
will
else.
of the rest of the council? You'd like to see something in writing?
Definitely.
Just want to make sure. All
Okay.
right.
I will request that.
from the man in charge, not somebody
Yeah.
just sitting in a seat somewhere sending some email.
Understood.
Next item.
All right. So believe now we have an overview of our upcoming agenda. So consent agenda, first few items, are minutes. Nothing out of the ordinary there. 6D, I believe we will discuss a little bit later today. 6E are those engineering contracts we just briefly mentioned with West Consultants. So last month we picked them as our engineering firm, so this just confirms the contracts with West Consultants for these 4 projects. 6F is a approval resolution 2525 titled Resolution to Call for Completion and/or Performance Bonds for Completion of Infrastructure of Sanders Ridge. Andrew is here if anybody has any questions regarding that.
I do. Have we assessed the amount of completion necessary, and do the bonds cover that? And what do we do in the effects that the bonds don't cover the amount of completion they're requesting or that's required?
I think he's trying to get his mic. Come on.
Batteries are dead.
That mine's not working either.
Well, these bonds, most of them are from about 2018, so the
Yeah.
likelihood of them covering the entire infrastructure is very, very
Slim to none.
unlikely.
Yeah.
So what we're going to have to do is do the best we can with the amount of funding that we do get. And we'll probably have to work with Benji and his team about estimates, and we'll eventually have to end up bidding it out to some kind of contractor to finish that infrastructure. So funding is going to be a work in progress.
Okay. Does any of this cover or touch on, and this might be a side comment in question, but a concern that a citizen brought up about the Weathers Creek development and the same issues going on with that development and that developer?
This particular bond, no. We had a pretty productive meeting with the Weathers Creek developer on Friday.
Okay.
He should be reaching out to those homeowners next week regarding a schedule to complete that work. He knows that we're serious about turning in those bonds, and those are significantly more.
Yeah.
So that will put some damage into their credit. So we're hoping he follows through on what he told Justin and I on Friday.
Great.
What's the Weathers Creek, what are we talking about, Weathers Creek? We went from Sanders Ridge to Weathers Creek.
Yeah, the Weathers Creek subdivision, it's kind of in a situation that's not quite as dire as Sanders Ridge, but there hasn't been any completion of the infrastructure out there.
You talking about the lady, was the lady that came and spoke to that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And this is directly behind Iredell Charter School, not
Right,
by the high school.
Yeah, came to know,
Yeah.
I remember the lady come speaking to us, okay,
Yep.
I'm with you now, okay.
But the ask for this resolution is to give us permission to go ahead and basically collect those bonds we do have for Sanders Ridge. And the bonding company knows we're coming. It's no secret that Nest Homes had run into financial troubles, so.
And Weathers Creek is, getting to Weathers Creek, they are gonna live up to what it's supposed to do, developer.
Yeah, that's what, we had a very productive meeting with the developer, and we'll see if they follow through on what they told us, but we did send some threatening emails to them, which kind of got the fire lit, so I'm hoping that worked.
All right.
Next item, 6G, approval of resolutions 2625, authorizing interim town manager to execute a contract with Kimley Horn to proceed with the design and engineering of the North Main Street, Old Mountain Road, and Murdoch Road intersection improvement. Again, Andrew's here. Anybody has any specific questions regarding that?
In the design, what is the expected implementation? Is this designed to throw up the chain at NCDOT, or are we looking at actually moving forward with this project?
So we were awarded a $3.5 million grant roughly a year ago or so, and this is just the first step. There's a 3-phase prong: design phase, right-of-way phase, and construction. This is to move forward with the design phase. So we do have the funding secured. We've just got to go through the red tape of the federal and state governments.
Roughly, what's completion?
Um,
Or even just, I'll go with just turn.
The
Yeah,
most
turn dirt.
most optimistic is about 2 years per phase. So
we'll hope to stick with that schedule.
2 years.
Yeah.
Per phase. How many phases?
3.
Okay.
We're in the, what phase are we in, second phase?
No, this one we were just awarded, so this
What
is,
now?
this is the first phase.
Just started, we're in first phase then?
Yep, yep.
I thought we'd already been phase, on it.
No, no, this one's a fairly new one, and it's already moving a lot quicker than our other two, so.
Oh, jeez. So we're looking at 6 years.
That's right.
I'll be dead. Maybe.
No, pray, pray not.
You might still be on the council, Paul.
Stress, frustration, gonna get me dead.
All right,
Any other questions?
next item.
Sometime last year.
All right, 6H, approval of resolution 2725, resolution in support of state safety funds to improve the pedestrian crossing at South Main Street and Rumpel Street. I'll turn this over to Andrew if anybody has any questions.
So I guess I'll just explain, we get quite a few citizen complaints regarding the intersection at the end of the Greenway here, Rumpel Street across Main Street. And so one of the citizens had reached out to Senator Sawyer, and Senator Sawyer advised her to get the town and the NCDOT to get together, and I guess the state's got a small pot of safety funds, they call it, which if you request the funding, the town or the DOT, she can look into giving us some funding. So I sat down with our local DOT folks and looked at what they would approve since it is a DOT facility. And I included that language in your packet and kind of a little flyer of what they had suggested. It's called an RRFB, which is a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. It's kind of like similar to what we got out down there, but it's on steroids, I would say. It's activated by push button, so it flashes a little bit more intensely. It would be activated, it wouldn't blink all the time, so it would alert the drivers when somebody's coming to the intersection. And they also recommended a high visibility crosswalk, which is basically just paint that's a lot easier to see. And updating that intersection to any kind of ADA standards if it doesn't meet. So that's what the DOT folks agreed upon, so the resolution I put together to send to Senator Sawyer had that in it for you to consider.
So better signage and more reflective crosswalk.
That's right.
Painting, if you will. Okay.
And I'm not sure how the safety funds work, but it's, you know, as they say, you're not going to score if you don't take the shot, so.
Yeah.
Next item.
Next item is recognition of Employee of the Month. We just drew Terrence's name out of a hat, so no, I'm just kidding. He's doing a great job for us, so he was nominated by another department head, and the rest of us agreed, so we'll be recognizing him Thursday. Next item is proclamation proclaiming April 25th, 2026 as Parental Alienation Awareness Day. So I will let the mayor handle that one if there's any discussion.
I think you all have seen the request, so. Next item.
Next item is ABC Store Quarterly Report. I believe Evelyn will be here to give us hopefully really good news regarding that. Next item is old business, temporary uses. Request to amend section 435 temporary uses and 13.3 definition of specialized terms. And Andrew is here. I believe we opened public hearing last meeting and continued it to this meeting. So if there's any discussion on that.
Any questions on that item? No, we had to, we pulled it until this meeting.
Right, there was some changes that we had asked for.
Yeah, the basic summary is we eliminated that maximum square foot of the tent and just made it based on site plan submittals, so we do have some flexibility there. Requirement that the actual temporary use permit is displayed at all times on site. And also add that temporary uses should provide the minimum of 3 parking spaces per 100 square feet of the approved tent. So those were the big changes. One other change I made was after speaking with somebody who's familiar with running these stands. The actual permit comes from the fire marshal from the county and not the building standards department. So I changed that language in the wording as well. So they have to have approval from the fire marshal as well.
Okay. And that also should be displayed, or?
That's probably going to be enforced by the fire marshal, but I believe it has to be.
All right.
Can you review the timelines and the schedule of fees that,
Sure. So, with the produce stand was the kind of the outlier in the whole language we had. So instead of allowing the produce stand for a period of 6 months, they can still do 6 months, but it's 3 months at a time. And then I believe last month we raised the fee from $50 to $100. So instead of that $50 for a 6-month period of time, they would have to do 100, then 100. So again, you're going from a $50 permit fee to a $200 if they want to do the whole 6 months.
So now,
Not a question about what we're discussing right now, but along the lines of this. If Andrew, no rush, I mean, maybe next month, the month after, if Andrew and his department could look into a solicitation permit to be used within our town, because there's one in Iredell County, and we might as well just cash in and also get people knocking on people's doors trying to sell them roofs. So if Andrew and his department could please look into, within the next couple of months, coming back with a proposal on a permit that we could charge for a solicitor to sell roofs.
Sure.
Water filtration systems, whatever.
And I might have to bend the ear of the chief on that one as well to kind of assist.
I think mayors, they chose the county that the sheriff's office administers it, and everything, application is through them. So we can, I'll talk about that, find out.
Because I could actually testify that there were some people in our neighborhood walking around trying to solicit roofs and
Roofs,
different things.
yeah.
And my wife asked the guy for his permit, and sure enough, he opened his book and it was there. So the way I'm kind of looking at it, Troutman should get in on the permit funds. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. I think probably the language that the county uses would be good enough. I think,
Where do Girl Scouts fit in with all that?
I think maybe we need to close, maybe an eye and a half and maybe not see Girl Scouts.
so is that a nonprofit, and are they regulated differently?
This is something, I really don't know anything about the soliciting
Okay.
license.
And
But
again, Jerry, I'm not looking to put the Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or
Oh, yeah.
TYA out of business. What I'm looking for is the guy on Sunday afternoon knocking on my door trying to sell me a roof.
Oh, no, I agree
Or
with you.
light
And
insurance.
I've learned about these permits 30 seconds ago. So I think if there's other municipalities, other groups doing it, yeah. But again, I also don't want to turn the Girl Scouts into criminals
No.
on accident.
But the county, this was brought up a couple of months ago, I read about it, and I brought it up a couple of months ago, but the county failed to let us know there was such a real thing that people that were soliciting in Troutman had to have.
I think it was in a record and landmark.
Yeah, it was in the record in the landmark.
Yeah, I believe that, like I say, it was just the county.
Yeah,
Municipals,
because
not
if they
state
permit
boards or.
Troutman soliciting, without that permit, we can't enforce that. Because it only applies to unincorporated areas.
Okay.
which makes sense if we pass our own, then
Well,
it would apply.
that would count where the mayor lives, then, if somebody's knocking on a door trying to sell a mayor,
No, I'm in the city.
We're-
right,
we
no, but
all-
I'm saying, like,
Yeah, yeah.
that would also fall in line with someone trying to sell roofs.
Oh, it's pest control, but that, yeah.
But I would suggest,
I know them by name.
Would that fall under a peddler's permit?
Yeah.
Because we have something for peddlers.
yeah, it's not the most up-to-date language.
yeah,
But
I
I
don't
think
know.
peddler's permit is
farm
more what
stand.
Statesville just did, right?
Yeah, it's ours is kind of a hodgepodge, so it does need some.
Yeah, I hadn't read our
Reading.
list, it's not like,
Well,
yeah, Stacy.
Andrew will bring something back to us and we'll have a
Yes,
chance.
within the next couple of months.
Thank you.
What do you want to do next?
Let me just say one thing, to Jerry's point, perhaps just, exempt nonprofits, which would be your girls, Boy Scouts, TYA.
Well,
and so forth.
I say this kind of tongue-in-cheek, but kind of not. But as being genetically very close to a Girl Scout, I will turn a blind eye to the Girl Scouts if I want to stay married.
All right.
All right, next item, new business, 10A, Consider a request from South Iredell High School for road closure for a homecoming parade. I believe this is their normal route, and everything is the same as in previous years. So we do recommend approving the motion. We just ask that if they decide to throw out candy, that they will be the ones to clean it up. Next,
So
any questions?
do we have to consider approval because we have the authority to tell them no, they can't close the road and have their parade?
Yeah, it's covered under new business.
Yeah. I was just curious if that's
Why
why
they
they
were
have to
asking.
ask for approval is because, yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
Mhm.
Is that all parades or just South Iredell parades?
For on town streets, for like, and for the, like July 4th parade, has to request DOT's approval for the closure.
Okay.
That'll be
That's-
east way.
East way to Old Murdoch and Stockton County.
I think that is any town street that's
Yes.
going to be closed.
You have
You've
to-
got a request.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's upon the council's approval, right?
Mm.
Okay.
Just for grins and giggles, what if it was strictly 21, state road? They didn't touch a town street. Again, just for point of conversation. Would they still have to seek the town's permission, if a organization went to state and the state could grant the closing of a mile of Highway 21 through Troutman? Would they still have to come to us for, supplemental approval?
To what I believe, I would say it would have to go, if DOT denies the permit, then they're in what we call the North Carolina laws impede the flow of traffic. And so without a permit from DOT, we close the road, then we would, officers would have to go out and say, hey, you gotta get on the road, or we're gonna have to charge you.
But DOT approves it.
Yeah, but DOT controls that road.
Right, and they would have to come to us.
No, they don't have to come to you. Like DOT will do construction and close roads down and never tells anybody in the town until.
The reason I'm asking, obviously it could affect businesses and maybe
Yeah.
travel through town, and I didn't know if that allowed for us to still, even over a state, but
I think
again.
it's totally under DOT and the town roads are us.
There you go.
And I would hope the DOT would call us and say, hey, we've got this request.
Yes, hopefully.
Sure. Yeah.
But we can't unilaterally close 21.
No.
And only for like, emergencies and, water outages and stuff like that, we can, and wrecks, things like that, we can.
So does any bit of the July 4th parade get the town's approval, the council's approval?
I think when they do the, to my best of understanding, when they present in January for like the Christmas parade and
The schedule.
the schedule, I think that's.
Event
the
schedule.
approval for those. Because they only, I think if it's the town closing it, the town can close the street, but say outside parties, you can close the street, has to get your approval.
We're their Girl Scouts.
So in the case of those two parades you mentioned, they get approval from the state to close the road, but approval from the town to hold the event?
Yes, now that's,
Okay.
for the Christmas parade's only on East Way.
Okay.
So, but we also have to get approval for Murdoch, Old Murdoch, from DOT. So
Right.
there's a lot of
Just
letters
curious
written.
how it all works, right? And
That's what I was asking too,
There's
yeah.
a lot of letters written.
Who allows whatever to happen in the town and kind of who's
And DOT
responsible?
actually has to allow a certain part of East Way because southeast way is DOT, northeast way is the town.
I believe Rumpel Street is the demarcation of that, yeah.
It's confusing.
What's that on to? Which street?
It'll come out from the park, go down north, from Church, down East Way. It actually starts at East Way and, Church and goes all the way down to Old Murdoch and goes to Axe.
Thank you.
All right,
Next items, 10B, annexation agreement between the town of Troutman and the town of Mooresville. This was, I believe, previously discussed. If there's any questions on that, it's in your packet.
Can you or somebody give me roughly, I've looked at the map, it didn't necessarily have the streets or roads or nomenclature, anyhow. What are we talking, Mitch a while ago, with, Parkerstown.
Right.
So going east, I guess you'd say, what are we roughly talking about? Westmoreland used to be demarcation, what is it now?
Benji,
Or would
can
be.
you?
Yeah,
So the line, previously the line on the eastern side was Shepherd Road. And as we discussed with Parkertown, having that line in the middle of a road, we were getting a lot of development pressure about somebody wanting to develop both sides of the street. Well, one side is Troutman, one side is Mooresville. So rather than coordinate between the towns, because I don't think we would agree on a specific zoning designation, we started getting pressure to basically shift that line from Shepherd, and it's now closer to going down Shinville. And then it does some funky stuff. I guess it follows a creek or something, but if you look at the map, it's very interesting the way it looks on the eastern side. And then it hits the southern side of Shepherd Road, goes kind of northwest up 21 Charlotte Highway, then cuts across Parkertown. Rankin Hill down to 77. 77 is the line, and then I don't believe this follows any roadway, just some properties. It just kind of cuts over to Perth Road. So on the eastern side, it went from Shepherd Road being the boundary line to closer to Shinville Road.
As was brought up a while ago in discussion, Parkerstown, any way of getting that south side? So you don't have two, theoretically two water lines, two sewer lines if in the future, one Troutman, one, more, if you understand what, I think if I understood Benji, that's not a dilemma, but that's certainly a big question.
Sure. And we did look at a couple different options down that way where that line was south of Parkertown. This is just what Mooresville came back that they would agree to with us, so it would probably be more of a discussion with, I guess the Mooresville Council will probably have to get involved with that.
I think it's a great start for where we want to stand on Parkertown Road, paying for their own money connection, Parkertown Road School.
Right.
With their own water
Well,
connection.
I mean, I don't want to, if it's going to hold it up, I want to go ahead and get it done reasonably, but it's something I think maybe we should pursue maybe afterwards and just do as a supplemental.
I think that's what has to be done at this point to get this moving. Otherwise, we're gonna be, if it's gotta go back in front of Mooresville, it might be.
Yeah, I understand.
26
And I
before we
agree,
get this.
I agree, but just something to think that, when we finish that, then we
Yeah.
pursue.
Agree with you, yeah.
Andrew, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you look, if I'm looking at the map, I just look at the boundary and then right there where, the boundary kind of heads north and then turns east right there at Shepherd Road.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow the boundary east, it gets real squiggly.
Yep.
What is that?
I honestly cannot answer that. That's kind of the line that Mooresville had given us, so.
It almost looks like Weathers Creek.
Yep.
But it's
when I drive
east
it.
of that, though, isn't
I
it? 'Cause
know
that's
it is.
right
but
on the water.
That's what I'm saying, it just looks like it. I don't know. Benji, do you have any idea what that is?
It may just follow some property lines. That's
Yeah.
probably my guess.
Is that right there, the Rocky Branch
Yeah.
on the map here?
Mm-hmm.
Right there on that.
Yeah.
Exactly there.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well.
And it could be something as simple as, you see there's some roadways just to the south of that line. Maybe those are just developed subdivisions that are currently on Mooresville water or something, so they did not want to include those.
All right.
All right, moving on. 10C, consider annexation AX 25-06. Applicant is, I'm sure I'll butcher this saying, Macarios, is that right?
That's right. Sounds good.
Macarios Holdings. Total acreage 3.68 acres. So is this just a typical annexation request? So Andrew's here if anybody has any questions.
This is a single family?
There's 3 or 4 lots down at the end of Goodman Road, and obviously with the total acreage being about 3.5 acres,
right.
these are bigger lots that are going to be built on septic. They're just requesting town water. So per policy, we've got to bring it in front of you for annexation.
But we think they're going to subdivide those lots, I guess, the 3 acres.
They already are subdivided. The 3 acres is the total.
Okay.
I believe there's four lots
4
in
lots.
total,
Okay.
and 3.5 acres in size is your total acreage.
Next item, similar situation, 10D. Consider annexation AX 25-07. Applicant is Dixieland Inc. It's a smaller lot, .34 acres. Again, Andrew's here. The applicant's requesting town water.
Yeah, and Meadow Fall is just a little cul-de-sac street off of State Park Road. And again, they're requesting town water, so per policy, we're in front of you with the annexation request.
Is that considered part of the Meadowview subdivision?
That's a good question. I think Meadow Fall is its own separate subdivision. I believe it is.
Moving on, 10E, consider reappointment of Darrell Hall as inside voting member to the Town of Troutman Planning and Zoning Board for a 3-year term.
Darrell's been on the planning board for a little while, longer than I've been on staff, but if you don't know Darrell, you're missing out. He's a great guy. So staff recommends the reappointment of Mr. Hall.
I may agree with what he just said. I've been to some meetings over the years. Darrell's always faithfully there if he can be, and he asks questions, he's involved, and, you know, I'm glad he's re-upped. We allow it.
Does he know John Oates?
So who?
John Oates.
Hall and Oates. and get 'em to the
Oh.
end.
Yeah, we've had that joke before, sir.
I was just messing with you. I didn't,
Darrell Hall,
you didn't get it yet. I was waiting.
And I think you've been asked that.
Yeah, I'm
Bring his
sure,
friend
yeah.
John Oates to play.
Right.
All right, moving on, 10F, consider reappointment of Paul Rooney as inside voting member to Planning and Zoning Board for a 3-year term.
And I'll just mention, Paul took over, I believe, Karen Van Vliet's term about 3/4 of the way through it. So he hasn't been with us too long, but he's very responsive, and I think he's been a pretty good board member at this point. So again, staff would endorse this reappointment.
10G, consider reappointment of Michelle Peck as inside voting member to the Town of Troutman Board of Adjustment for a 3-year term.
And I'll say the same thing about Michelle I've said about the other two, is she's definitely a valuable member to the Board of Adjustment, serves as the vice chair currently, so again, we would endorse her being reappointed.
And I understand she has a distinguished neighbor on the same street.
Yep.
So,
And 10H, consider appointment of Antonio Robinson as inside alternate member to the Troutman Board of Adjustment for a 3-year term.
Is he planning to be at the meeting on Thursday?
I'll call him.
Okay.
Y'all wanna let him stand up and introduce himself?
Yeah.
How many vacancies are on these boards currently?
Planning board, there may be,
I think we have one in-town member of planning board, with, and we have an alternate ETJ and an in-board membership. The Goose guy resigned. And then, Board of Adjustment, we just need 2 alternates. And it doesn't.
So 4 open positions.
That's right.
Right. We have a lot of opinionated citizens. I would hope to see some applications coming in soon.
you know, and that, if I may take this opportunity, when you mentioned that earlier about the involvement in committees, and Selena and I agree with both of you. We need more of that and could, and have the advice and so forth, but we're struggling just to get them on the committees we have now to serve. And I hope that the response, and I want to be positive, glass half full, that they respond to any extra committees that but it sure would be nice if they would respond to what we've got already.
That's right.
Next item.
I believe that is it for our agenda on Thursday, so, make the motion, or you, Mayor? To go into closed session, is that you or me?
Me.
Okay.
Just one comment before we do that. I'm gonna go back to item 7B, the proclamation. Not many things do I get kind of the prerogative, but usually it's on proclamations. I get those usually at citizens' request, and I usually respond to them whether or not we want to do them, and I try to get feedback from staff and the council whether or not we're going to approve those. therefore they should be approved. Again, I would just ask if you get a request from someone in the community that you run it by me and Justin, just to let us know before we approve any proclamations for my consideration before we do it. So just wanted to bring that up before we move forward. The next item on the agenda for tonight is a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A3, and 11A5, and 11A6 to consult a attorney and to discuss acquisition of property and an attorney respectively. If that's the case, I'd ask for a motion to go into closed session.
Make that motion for you, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Who all we need in the room?
I need, our town engineer